Fortnite is usually known as a pretty
vibrant
game. It's very bright and colorful, much like Minecraft, or even, dare I say, Viva Pinata. Viva Pinata! Viva Pinata! Anyways, because of how friendly and peaceful the colors that build its atmosphere are, you wouldn't really think of Fortnite as a game that's, well, scary, but that's until we here at Top 5 Gaming brought you guys the top 5 scariest Fortnite maps that you need to play. Well, you don't need to play them, but like if you don't, you're a chicken. What's that? You have that emote and it's your favorite emote, so I can cluck off? Oh, okay. But if you'd like a good scare, these maps will give you a run for your money. So if you think you're hard enough, have a go. But if you use code T5G in the item shop and comment down your Epic Games username, you may receive a shout out in a future video. Number 5, Fortnite Michael Myers map, Dismay. So just in case you were wondering who Michael Myers was, he's a fictional character from a series of horror films called Halloween. It's been a pretty famous saga over the years, and Michael Myers has definitely left his mark as one of the movie's classic monsters. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and guess most of you watching probably haven't seen it yet, but the key factor here is the spooky environment. Fortnite map builder Dismay has recreated some of the scary hunting grounds you could find this character to be in and added a Michael Myers game mode. The entire location is centralized inside a forest. Trees layer the area and also create a barrier around the edge of the map. It's also got all of the classic aspects you'd expect to find in a stereotypical horror film like this. Starting at a rundown motel, there'll be one chest at the garage, allowing the hunter to grab a crossbow, chug jug, and 500 wood. All the survivals will need to make their way through the cave and into the more terrifying section of the map, the hunting grounds. Here, you'll find a few smaller builds in a dense forest. They're filled with one-way rooms, secret holes in the walls and floors, and all kinds of hiding places. Outside, there's multiple camping grounds, stacked hay barrels, and plenty of rocks for you to try and sneak your way around with. Your job as the survivors is simply to be the last one standing and then make it back through the cave to the motel. Sounds pretty simple, right? However, be warned. Michael Myers, the hunter, has a crossbow, a chug jug, and mats, so I wouldn't attempt to try and pickaxe him. The map maker Dismay did set one rule for the hunter, though, and that's that they have to reload after every shot. Unfortunately, it's infinite and doesn't have a reload, so if you're feeling generous, maybe wait a second or two in between shots. If not, then spam the crossbow to your heart's content. After all, you are the hunter. It's one of those few game modes where you can be hiding, running, and not shooting a single bullet, yet still feel the same intensity you get in a 10-man build fight. He's behind you! Number 4, the horror course. Perhaps you're in the mood for something a bit more casual, where you're not fighting anyone but working together to escape some horrifying maze. Okay, I'll be honest, this map isn't anywhere near casual. It's one of those crazy impossible escape locations where it mixes between parkour and problem solving. If you like to test your brain power, then this is definitely a map you need to give a go because it's extremely difficult to find your way to the next room, and I'd be lying if I said I did it without looking up how on a couple bits. Aside from the escape factor, this map built by SkyArt is a complete horror fanatic's dream. Every single section of the course has hidden references to some of the most classic horror films out there, with many locations having entire scenes remade from a moment in these films. If you snowflake quickly, then this map is definitely not for you because you'll be left running for the hills. Every room you walk into has the air of, I'm about to get attacked by something from somewhere, and that's a vibe and theme that's going on pretty consistently throughout the map, which shows just how well made this map is. He even says that he's taken ideas from films like The Exorcist, Insidious, and much more. A brilliant feature that SkyArt added was a couple of musical walkways that would play 2 different spooky horror tunes as you ran over the piano notes. The funniest part about it was that to get to the next level, you had to do a bit of an annoying jump, and if you missed, you'd be left running along the music over and over again until you make it. Each room does have its own unique style and theme behind it, which makes the map interesting at nearly every turn, unless that turn is the same one you've made 50 times because you're terrible at parkour like me. I'd have to say one of the most brilliant parts of the map is a scene featuring a Teddy laying on a hospital bed in a black void and a book to his right. It's really simple yet effective look, and let me know if you recognize what horror scene this is remade after, but I get a massive sense of nostalgia as it reminds me of the old Black Ops Zombies Rise from Drop days. You managed to take it to the end though, while finding all the missing pieces hidden around the map. You'll be greeted by a giant and scary clown pixel art designed after the It character in a very evil looking room. We finally made it to the end, boys. Get out while you can. It's been 3 weeks. Number 3 is Friday the 13th hide and seek map. Even though a lot of you may not have seen some of these classic horror films, I'm fairly positive that most of you will have heard of them at some point or another. Friday Friday the 13th is another saga of horror films that planted another monster in our nightmares, Jason. He wears a hockey mask and usually wields a machete. To be honest, it looks a lot like H2O Delirious after someone steals his teddy. However, it's not just the monster, but also the environment that Jason's seen in that's become a key part of this theatrical legend. I'm sure most of you have all heard the scary stories of people camping out in the woods, often with a lake close by, and after deciding to go for a midnight dip, that's where the monster usually appears, wreaking havoc. It's been a stereotypical location for so many classic horror films that it's probably been used hundreds of times by now. But out of all the monsters that use this environment, it's definitely Jason that is most associated with campers at the lake. Map builder JXDVN, doubt there's even a proper way to pronounce that name, has recreated this environment on a huge scale. The entire area is covered in tall trees with plenty of old wooden barns and houses below. Got a ginormous lake that has plenty of reeds covering the water, so it's not so open and exposed. It's everything you'd expect to find in a recreated Friday the 13th environment. When you start off as the hiders, you'll have 3 minutes to loot up and find your starting hiding point. There's mainly heals and a few items like grapples, impulses, and balloons, but you can also find a few weak weapons spread throughout. So in this game mode, it isn't all about hiding. You could potentially fight back if you wanted to. The problem with that part is though that the player who starts as Jason gets a room full of goodies from a gold pump shotgun, crossbow, and a deagle to a chug jug, slurp, and shockwaves. And if you do happen to run out of ammo, then you can find ammo spawns hidden all over. After exploring the map, I definitely admit this is one of the most fun and horrifying hide and seek maps to play, as it'll be a very action-packed version of what can usually be a slow game. Number 2, the Haunted Mansion Escape Death Run. We've seen quite a few spooky forest type maps, but now we're going back inside to the eerie corridors of a haunted mansion. Made by map creator Brendan, this entire location is one of the best maps for that scary atmosphere. One thing you'll notice throughout all this mansion as we show it to you is how consistent the theme is and the attention to detail. The mansion looks abandoned. Vines can be seen making their way through windows, and the structures show signs of decay with holes in floors, but there definitely used to be some residents as there's plenty of leftover furniture. But what drove them out? Oh, yep, that's right, it's the haunted mansion after all. As soon as you walk into this building, you can see a table on the ceiling with a ring of fire showing there's something weird going on. But this is Fortnite, obviously there aren't any actual ghosts, although that might be a cool mechanic like a new form of bot, but nevertheless, you can try to continue and figure out how to escape this creepy location. However, it's not about trying to get out. You also have the challenge of trying to find 15 coins throughout the mansion and its surrounding areas. Yeah, we do have a little forest outside as well. Couldn't have a haunted mansion without the haunted forest, could we? There's no escaping this place in the normal way though, because the entire mansion and its grounds are completely fenced off. It's only through the map designer's path that you can truly make it out. It's really a well-designed map with some very unique features and mechanics that I won't spoil for you in case you attempt this yourself. However, just be ready to do a fair bit of problem solving and parkour while walking through this mansion that'll send chills up your spine the entire time. Honorable mention, Postapocalyptic Map. So we've gone down the routes of the supernatural and the theatrical, but now it's time for the type of environment many of us have wondered if we'd actually be able to survive ourselves. A post-apocalyptic wasteland. I'll be honest and admit that most of the time zombies are involved, but especially for a lot of Fallout fans and similar games, survive just the empty wasteland of an old society can be hard enough. I'm sure many of you have seen or at least heard of the I Am Legend film with Will Smith, and you see these massive cities with skyscrapers shatter and run down from an apocalyptic type event. The greenery starting to envelop and take over what was once theirs. This type of scenario is often seen in TV and films and series. Two map makers, Eagle Bro and Sulky, recreated their own take on this in Fortnite, and you can't help but admit how instantly recognizable the environment is. It's definitely one of the smallest maps on our list and is a fairly old one at that. However, the fact that it's so well made is why we had to put it in the honorable mentions at least. It's a pure hide and seek map, so you already know that this map is going to have some sneaky spots and a lot of added detail. You've got the cornfields stuck through the ground to create the effect of the local plant life taking over, and the Trump Tower in this map looks like where half of it's been worn down over time, although somehow there's still a crane on top, so I'm calling a shotgun on that hiding spot. You can even find an old concert next to the factory that look like they've fused together because of all the vines growing over them. The map markers have done a brilliant job of showing the location's age, and I doubt that anyone would have a problem figuring out what this map was, at least not me anyway. I'm post-apocalyptic wasteland ready, although I could never figure out the best weapon for taking out zombies. They all seem to have pros and cons. I mean, what would you pick? Number 1, Michael Myers map game mode. This is a different one, but it's still really cool. From Michael Myers to number 5, bringing it back to him at the last entry for one more time, we've got your good old farm and cornfield horror film style map right here. Created by West Nemo. And no, it's not aliens abducting people or crop circle designs in the field, but just a scary monster hunting you down with a knife. Well, I say just, but I think it's still as bad. Although So in this game mode, the Michael Myers player actually gets a crossbow, some shockwaves, and a few heals and traps. So what do the survivors get to defend themselves? Well, nothing but the finest smoke grenades, stink bombs, and dynamite. So good luck. Yeah, it's not exactly the ideal situation, but hey, that's what makes these games so interesting when you're forced to use a unique combo of items. It's also the very same reason you end up running in fear half the time with pump shotgun chasing you, hoping you can escape before getting put down. What I enjoy about maps like this is how simple they can be, yet highly replayable. For any Halo players, you'll know of a multiplayer map called Blood Gulch. That's a prime example of this. Just two bases, one at either end of the canyon, and that's it. Yet it was a highly popular map. This farmyard has that same feel to it. Just a variety of barns and houses surrounding a giant cornfield. But the fact that the cornfield is smack back in the middle allows people to build and build and build without being seen, and allows for quick escapes. Just imagine 20 plus smoke grenades and stink bombs going off in that field as survivors try and run. Either way, if you ever need a spooky skin that'll match your playthrough of these maps, then check out our Scariest Fortnite skins video to find the best one for you. Click the annotation on screen right now and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.